Hello everyone! This is a follow-up to my original Serious Sam 3 Pacifist run. So if you clicked on this video because it was a rogue YouTube recommendation that sparked your interest or something, I'd recommend beginning with part 1, since it not only goes over some important information, such as the exact rules I use for this challenge, but it also showcases how I got 0 kills on several levels that I won't be talking about in this video, or you can just watch this one without the context. That's fine too. You do you, boss. So last time Serious Sam 3 was featured, I achieved a kill count of 281 across the whole game, not including the Jewel of the Nile DLC. This is a pretty good score when you consider that the maximum possible kills is 6,662, but there was definitely some room for improvement. The only levels where I wasn't able to achieve 0 kills were Level 3, Broken Wings with 55 kills, Level 4, No Place to Hide with 1 kill, Level 5, Under the Iron Cloud with 16 kills, Level 6, The Silent Riddler with 151 kills, Level 9, The Power of the Underworld with 13 kills, Level 11, The Last Man on Earth with 44 kills, and Level 12, The Guardian of Time with 1 kill. Today I'll be going over and attempting to improve each of these levels, with the exceptions of Level 4, No Place to Hide.
Need a rocket launcher right now.
And Level 12, The Guardian of Time, since as far as I know, killing the Technopolyp and Ugzan 4 are unavoidable, so 1 kill is the absolute minimum for each of these levels respectively. I begin Broken Wings exactly like I did last time, outrunning the shotgunners and Gunnar boosting over the wall so that I can do the glitchy physics jump past the invisible barrier. Then after a bit of out-of-bounds navigation, I run inside the walls to avoid spawn triggers and outrun Clear and Kamikazes to the speedrun secret. If you've seen the first video, you'll already know all this, nothing's changed. Once I'm in the final arena with the temple in the middle, is where things start to look a little different. If we want to save any kills here, the first thing we need to do is to understand how this part of the level operates. See, once you touch the invisible trigger surrounding the building, beheaded Rocketeers start to appear. Once you kill 20 of them, Kamikazes start to rush in, and while it is not necessary to kill them to progress the fight, it is kind of difficult to avoid having them blow up since they relentlessly pursue you and explode either when they get to you or from the crossfire of the other enemies. 40 seconds after the Kamikazes spawn in, Clear and Gunnar will begin to incrementally trickle in too, and after they are all eliminated, the biomechanoid major boss fight will begin. My original strategy was admittedly very basic. I simply killed the first 20 Rocketeers, and then just did my best to leave shotgunners, Kamikazes, and other Rocketeers alive as I eliminated the Clear and Gunnar to spawn the biomech, going through the fight in pretty much the intended way, just trying to do it fast and crossing my fingers for a low kill count. But there was a reason for my basic strategy. At a glance, this arena seems pretty sparse, and hence, so are my options. Rocket jumping isn't something I can do yet, since the earliest I can get the rocket launcher is going to be in the next level. It seems like there is nothing that can be done here, but I managed to get pretty creative and figured that the best candidate for a safe zone would be on top of the central building, since you can already get pretty close to the top using the scaffolding next to it, which is normally used to access a secret armor piece. Even though you are intended to do this if you want the secret, it's pretty awkward to climb it because it's got some weird geometry, and since it's destructible, you also gotta make sure that the shotgunners don't shoot it down from underneath you. Once I'm on the scaffolding, it quickly becomes apparent that it's not possible to make a jump to the top of the building from here, but what you can do is make a running jump onto the top of this nearby tree, which took me a few tries since it's got some weird collision too, and you have to be fairly precise. From the tree, I can finally jump and stand on top of the building. From here, you can take your time shooting the 20 Rocketeers, leaving all the other enemies safe. I actually discovered something very helpful for this run here that I haven't seen documented elsewhere. When Rocketeer number 20 goes down, a failsafe timer for the boss fight starts counting down, so as it turns out, I don't even have to shoot anything else in order to progress the fight triggers. I can just wait about 5 minutes, and the boss fight cutscene will begin. But now I have another problem. After the cutscene, the game moves Sam back down to the ground in front of the biomech, and all the enemies that were in the building behind me suddenly get alerted to my presence. The first thing I tried from here was to get back on the roof again, but I'm not sure that's possible. There are so many enemies that they destroy the scaffolding pretty quickly if you get near it. You can't leave where the biomech broke through the wall either because of an invisible wall. So as I circled the arena wondering what to do, I noticed the windows in the outer wall. If I can get up there, that could be another possible safe zone. So a new series of repetitive failed jumps and reloads ensued. But I did learn that if I run past the biomech and fling myself off the broken wall, it is just about possible to land in the window. All you have to do is jump up, run to the right, and fly off at this precise angle. I don't think it's helpful to actually press the jump button here. I was only able to consistently land in the window when I ran off the edge at just the right time. Getting into the window is indeed a safe zone. Once you stand here, most of the enemies will pool underneath you where they are safe. Kind of. There's a lot of moving parts here, so let me explain how this next section works. The biomech starts shooting rockets at you. So in order to keep the other enemies safe, you have to shoot the rockets down. And the only long-range weapon I have at this point in the game that can fire rapidly enough to do that is the pistol. While you're doing that, you have to remember to shoot the biomech too, and since the pistol only holds 10 shots before needing to be reloaded, you have to time the reloads to when it's not shooting rockets. This basically means a lot of saving and loading. The pistol doesn't do much damage, so this takes a while, but all the same I have to make sure to shoot the biomech only a few times per second, because if you do too much damage to it too quickly, it will go into a rage state and shoot more rockets at you than you can deal with. But, at the same time, you are on a bit of a time limit here. You can't shoot too slowly either, because the shotgunners and rocketeers below are constantly shooting at you, and since the window isn't big enough to allow you to dodge, your health is steadily being depleted. In fact, in my first recording trying this, I was only able to bring the biomech's health bar down to about halfway before dying. So I had to try again from the beginning and pick up as much armor as I could on the way, so that I had as much time in the window of death as possible. It's a good thing I did this too, because on my subsequent attempt I barely made it out alive, beating the biomech with just 2 health remaining. But that's not everything. There is one final complication to this whole mess too. See, when you first get into the window, more likely than not, a few rocketeers are going to be clustered around the biomech major's feet. And guess what? Now if you shoot the rockets down, they are so close to the explosion radius that they will die. But I still have enemies below me, so I can't let the rockets explode near me either. The kill count will go up either way. My solution to this was to try and manipulate the biomech into walking around a little bit to give the rocketeers time to get to my window. But the thing is, once I'm in this window, going back down to the ground is way too risky. So the only thing I could think of doing was to jump into the pillar nook across from me. This actually ended up working, but staying here for too long is a bad idea. If any rockets reach you here, they will destroy the pillar and kill lots of enemies. So back to the original window I go. It's only a little bit tedious, but if you do this just right, several saves and reloads later, it is quite possible to beat Broken Wings with just 21 kills. The only fatalities are the 20 rocketeers needed to start the boss timer ticking down, as well as the biomech itself, of course. I believe that this is the absolute minimum kill count for this level, unless another way to trigger the boss fight is discovered. There's not too much to say about this level. Again, I progressed to the final arena in about the same manner as I laid out in my original video, and again, the only differences from my original attempt are in the last fight. When you enter the arena, ignore and run past the perched harpies near the start, and when they start teleporting in from the rear, shoot only 14 from that group. This makes the spaceship boss fight begin. I use saves and loads in order to lead my shots as early as possible on the ship's weak points, and as long as you keep an eye on the score counter and save and load as needed to avoid accidental kills, it's actually not too hard to get the absolute minimum kills on this level, which is just those 14 aforementioned harpies. The ship itself doesn't count as a kill. This was a weirdly easy improvement, so I'm not sure why I didn't give it a few more tries in my original video. I guess maybe I'm just better at this game now. Saving these 2 kills might seem a bit trivial, but it's nice to be able to bring this level down to the absolute minimum.
All your base or belong to us, mother.
The Silent Riddler presents us with the next opportunity to utilize a failsafe countdown timer to bypass a bunch of kills. As we saw in my original video, it's not particularly time-consuming or difficult to make it to the last fight of this level without any kills. And if you'll recall, I originally believed the end fight to be mandatory, and went through it in the intended manner, and this resulted in 151 kills. This time around, armed with my new knowledge, I know that all you have to do is run and hide after triggering the fight. To this end, the best consistent hiding place I was able to find was in this nice nook close to the Spider Ruins fight. I'm sure there are other good hiding places, but something to note is that for some reason, the initial group of Rocketeers at the final fight spawns seem especially adept at tracking you out of bounds. They followed me to the Sphinx Pit, and even all the way to the back of the pyramid. By the way, you can climb this pyramid, just like in the first encounter. If you can safely hide for around 11 minutes after triggering the fight, the level end cutscene plays, allowing me to drastically lower the kill count of this level from 151 to 0. Power of the Underworld was a bit difficult to find an improvement for initially. Making it to the final fight without kills is trivialized with a few rocket jumps, and if you'll recall the trigger progressions here, it consists of you having to touch a center trigger and then killing 2 Scorps, 2 Biomech Majors, 1 Knoom, and 1 Witch Bride, in order to make the spaceship boss fight appear. So theoretically, the minimum kills for this level would be 7, but the initial attempts at lowering my original kill count of 13 were not promising. In my original run, I attempted to hide in the ruins out of bounds, popping out only to shoot the required enemies. A few extra random kills consistently occur if you do this, and as far as I can tell, they can mainly be attributed to the circling werebolls that run into wandering Rocketeers and clear, and kill them on impact. The random rockets of this scrapjack also seem pretty detrimental to my kill count. In an attempt to mitigate these chaotic occurrences, my first idea was to get to the Vista secret and kill everything from there, in the hopes that my distance from the enemies would somehow better my kill count. I got there by running through the middle section to start the fight, and backtracking into the penultimate Scorpion Arena with a rocket jump. You can collect the keys by staying on the ledge, but then you have to take this roundabout route to the secret door, since if you run through the regular entrance of this section, you will spawn a pretty annoying Scorpion. Unfortunately, despite the nice view, this tactic did nothing to help my Pacifist run. I was still getting random kills, and I even did a tricky rocket jump to gain more height and tried from there too. But the results were about the same. Not only that, but it's a bit awkward shooting the second Biomech and the Knoom from here, and this strategy also necessitated going back down to the ruins in order to fight the boss ship, since its weak points are not often accessible from the Vista location. I needed a better idea, since the best I was able to get doing this was 11 kills, and that's close but not good enough. So I did a bit more thinking and decided to try standing somewhere where I could catch the enemy's attention, just like in Broken Wings. Again, I rocket jump onto the wall that borders the Scorpion fight, and since speed is of the essence, I like to collect the Secret Devastator ammo, since it makes killing the Knoom and Witch Bride a lot faster. Standing here works very well. The Clear and Rocketeers try to run toward me and get stuck at the base of the wall underneath, safely out of the way of the bulls, and I am also high enough up that even the splash damage of the Scrapjack rockets don't harm them. Shooting down the required Scorps, Biomechs, Knoom, and Witch Bride is very easy from here, and the vantage point was good for shooting the spaceship weak points too. It only took me a couple of saves and reloads, especially when the ship shot out its deadly electric beams, which occasionally fried some random enemies, but I got lucky pretty fast, and managed to finish this stage with the absolute minimum kill count of 7. And here we are on the final level that can possibly be improved. The Last Man on Earth. If you thought the amount of saves and loads in Broken Wings was excessive, then you ain't seen nothing yet. As usual, the only changes come in the last portion of the level, and as a reminder, this last area consists of 10 gas cans scattered around a large arena, 8 of which you must pick up and bring over to this particular car.
Shit. Out of gas.
The catch being that you can only carry one gas can at a time, and interacting with most of them will activate enemy spawners. If you'll recall, back when I made my original video, I settled at the time on just running through the level with no plan, but I had theorized that 0 kills might just be possible here with enough route planning and patience. And behind the scenes, I did give it a shot, but I didn't get very far, and if you try this for yourself, you'll quickly see why. Playing this level while trying to avoid kills is very tedious and time-consuming. Sure, it starts off easy enough. You can skip this spawner by the entrance by boosting off this tree in the previous arena, and there's a similar trick you can pull after the first gas can. But after the second one, shotgunners and kamikazes are on your tail, relentlessly and aggressively pursuing you, and it only gets worse the farther in you get, with the scrapjacks constantly firing rockets in your direction, even if you're far away from them. And more often than not, their volley lands on some hapless ally who gets vaporized as the score counter heralds that yet another reload is needed. And that's not even the worst of it. After gas can number 6, a witch bride appears, and her attacks consist of floating around and paralyzing you if she sees you, which is a massive hindrance, and basically means that a reload is in order. The effort it takes to outrun all these enemies and then to avoid the witch bride's gaze on top of it all is simply heroic, but I did it. To be transparent, 0 kills is possible here, but playing the level this way is not fun at all. The run basically consists of making a save after getting a gas can or getting back to the car, and then trying to make progress with every possible permutation of each separate route to the next objective that you can think of, trying each path not just once, but multiple times just to be sure, eye on the score counter the whole time, praying that it doesn't increment, and then having to load to a previous save because you discovered there is nowhere to go from your latest save point that will not kill enemies. Basically, I made as much spontaneous use of the terrain as possible, most notably boosting to the top of this building near the car, which was a temporary safe haven, and also to the top of this gate here, in order to put a bit of much needed distance between myself and all the enemies. Playing this stage Pacifist really put my rocket boosting and jumping skills to the test, because there were several moments where I had to make a quick jump while being pursued, and since rocket boosting often takes a chunk of your health off, grabbing armor and health whenever I could was important so that I could jump whenever I needed to. I put a lot of time into this. My attempt took 2 hours and 20 minutes to complete, and about 90% of that was just spent saving and reloading, and that time is not even counting my previous unrecorded attempt, where I got all the way to 6 gas cans before giving up. I'm actually going to upload the entire recording onto my channel as proof of my successful run. Feel free to check it out, but be forewarned that it's not going to be a particularly engaging video because of all the saves and loads. I'll link it in the description. Because of the way I got 0 kills on this level, I can't exactly narrate a breakdown of the strategy like I normally do. The enemy movements are too random, and I'm not certain that if someone were to try running through the stage exactly like I did, that it would work. So instead, I'm just going to play a stitched together version of the level where I've edited out all the saves, loads, and failed attempts, just so you can see how insane the routing on this was. I've also chopped out the beginning since that's just the same as my original run, and I've slightly sped up the more boring parts too. Enjoy!
Oh! Wheels! That should come in handy. Glug, glug. Looks like I'm gonna need some more. need a few more. Still gonna need more gas than that. Still gonna need more gas than that. More gas than that. But not quite. Fill up should do it. Detroit Steel.
And so there you have it. With a total of 6,662 kills, the kill count for Serious Sam 3 has been reduced all the way down to just 44. I believe that this number represents the absolute minimum kills for Serious Sam 3. I don't think any of these levels can be improved any further unless some other crazy way of activating some of these end-level triggers is discovered. So Serious Sam 3 can join the pantheon of solved Serious Sam Pacifist games, alongside the First Encounter Classic and Jewel of the Nile. Very exciting stuff. I'd love to hear in the comments if you find any more improvements in this game or other Serious Sam titles, or how your own Pacifist attempt goes. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see y'all again soon.